Welcome to the Vol Bros presented by the Ooltewah Club. My name is Evan. This is my brother Ruston. We are two Vol Bros who are actually bros in real life. It has been very busy on Rocky Top this week. Men's and women's basketball playing. We got football news coming out today. We got to talk about all that stuff. Ruston was in the house today in Thompson Bowling Arena. Ruston, how'd it go today? What was it, a good time up there? What was the experience like?
Yeah, they just do such a great job with atmosphere, even in games that everybody knows are a win. The atmosphere is just fantastic, and they just do a really good job. I don't see how anybody couldn't enjoy going to one of those games. I'll tell you, the biggest thing I took away from today, when you see our players against other guys who are the same height as them, but they just look physically larger. I mean, just huge. It is incredible what our strength program does with those guys. Amari Evans is a grown man. TV does not do him justice. That guy is a monster. And he's getting better and better every game. That guy's going to be special. Bishop Boswell, I was shocked at how thick he was. He's a lot bigger in reality than he looks on television. It's impressive. They are physically huge.
What'd you think about the game overall?
I thought they did what they should. I said this a couple of weeks ago, and I hate to repeat it because I love Cade. But I've said a couple of times, Cade's injury might be a blessing in disguise, because it's just more minutes for Jalen Carey. It's more minutes from JP or for JP Estrella, even Dwayne Brown. A lot of times when Cade's out there, he defers, and you end up playing 4-on-5 on offense. Those three guys don't defer. They want the ball, and they're going to go attack the rim. And the more minutes JP Estrella and Jalen Carey get, the better. When those two guys are out there together, you have no chance inside. It was crazy watching the two of them on opposite side of the paint today, just basically volleying the ball back and forth to each other for offensive rebounds, until one of them finally put it back in. Gardner-Webb had absolutely nothing they could do about it. The two of them just dominated the paint. I was looking at it a little while ago. Dwayne Brown finished with 6 points, 14 rebounds. Felix had 6 and 4. So right there, that's 12 and 18. Jalen Carey had 12 and 6. So now you're at 24 and 24. And JP had 10 and 7. So, 34 points and 21 rebounds inside, or 31 rebounds inside between those four guys. When you're getting that kind of production in the paint, you're not going to lose.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame they didn't reach 100. They were so close. If they hadn't waited until 16 and a half minutes left in the first half to score, they might have reached 100. But they let 3.5 minutes of game time go by without the ball going through the hoop. My overall thoughts about the game was, like you said, they did what they were supposed to do after the first 3.5 minutes, but then they did what they were supposed to do. I looked for you on TV. I didn't see you. Sorry.
We were in the bottom level, but we were on the back row of the bottom level right next to the concourse. So it's hard to see underneath that awning, on television. I'll tell you the other thing that's really blown my mind. Rick Barnes has completely changed. And I don't know if it's because Steve McLean's sitting there next to him and Steve's an offensive guy and Rick respects him. It used to be if a guy pulled a shot that Rick didn't want, he was coming out immediately.
Yep.
These guys have no conscience. They will pull anytime, anywhere. Troy Henderson walks out there, dadgummit, if he's halfway open, that thing's going up.
Yeah.
Amari Abram, Amari Abram, if he's halfway open, he's attacking and it's going up. Even Bishop picks and chooses when he takes his shots, but he's not shy. Amari Evans, first touch. Amari Evans had been on the floor maybe 5 seconds. First time he touched the ball, he fires up a three. Clarence Masamba, he'd been maybe 2 possessions in and took a pull-up jumper. Like, these guys do not hesitate to take shots. And Rick doesn't seem to care anymore. Like, he just lets them play. The only time he yanked anybody out today for mistakes, Amari Abram got beat backdoor. It was lack of communication. Rick immediately yanked him for not communicating. And then Jacoby Gillespie made a really bad pass. Rick immediately yanked him. They've put a high priority on turnovers. They've got people have seen the 10 balloons that they've got every day at practice. If they turn it over 10 times, every time they turn it over, they pop a balloon. If at the end of practice all the balloons are popped, they have to run an obscene amount of sprints. So they put a high priority on taking care of the ball and not turning it over. And so, I saw some ill-advised shots. Nobody got taken out. You make a turnover on a bad pass, you're coming out. You don't play good defense and don't communicate and get backdoored, you're coming out. So he's very clearly laid down what the expectation is, and so long as you play hard within those expectations, you're going to stay out there, even if you take a dumb shot.
Well, here's a question that I've got for you and everybody in the comments. And we got 53 people watching across all 3 platforms right now, so we appreciate you guys. We'd love to hear your answer to this in the comments, and I'm going to give my answer as well. It was great to see so many people get not just like garbage minutes, like a lot of people got a whole lot of minutes today.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a really good thing to see. My question is, of all the guys, like especially the true freshmen that got in the game today, which one do you think took most advantage of their time?
Amari Evans. For the last 2 weeks, Amari Evans has just been playing out of his mind. The minute he walked on the court today, there was a tangible feeling that the defensive intensity went up significantly. And the guys that he was guarding for Gardner-Webb, after a couple of possessions, they didn't want the ball. They went and hid in the corner, and they're like, "No, I'm good." It was amazing to watch, and he's so strong, and he's so active. He's just, that kid's going to be special.
So if I'm going to the first half, my answer is Amari Evans, because he, like you said, he was a spark plug off the bench. It was fantastic watching him play. Got a steal and a nice layup on the other end. If I'm going second half, I'm going Troy Henderson, because dude was out of his mind. He was making, we went 3 for 5 from 3 in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like it was fantastic. So those would be my answers. Now let's go to the comments, see what everybody else is saying about today, and then we'll talk about Lady Vols after that. Mississippi Vols with us. Welcome, buddy. Good to have you. Hey, second evening, guys. Chat fam. Slim's here. Welcome, Slim. Good to have you. Hey, Richard's in Portland tonight, Portland, Oregon. Man, you got to get some frequent flyer miles or something, man. Richard, it's great to have you. I'm glad you're with us all the way from Oregon. Nolan, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. He said, "Hey, Vol Bros." Let's see. Mississippi Vols says, "Good to see you guys again." You too, man. It's awkward when it's a week. It feels like it's forever. Except this week was crazy busy for us. Jonathan said, "Hello, Evan, Ruston, chat family. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Glad you're with us, Jonathan." Stingray, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. Nolan said, "Women's basketball's in the dumps, so don't feel good about this team against good, high-quality opponents. Seems like we have to play perfect and execute perfectly to win." Well, we're about to talk about women's basketball here in just a second. Sanders, welcome, Sanders. Good to see you. She said, "Hey, guys, sorry I haven't been on a few shows. Still love y'all's show and love you guys." We love you too, Sanders. We're glad to see you. Rhonda, welcome, Rhonda. Great to see you as well. Channel member. Great to see you. Matt's here. Matt, good to see you, buddy. Channel member. It's a present. Awesome football weekend, boys. Yeah, we're going to talk about that after we talk about women's basketball. Let's see. John said, "I was surprised to see Lewis transfer today." Yeah, we're going to talk about that as well. David said, good evening, Evan and Ruston. Saw Peyton Lewis leaving right after the Vandy game. He never could be running back one. Mississippi Vols said, I love the potential of Dwayne Brown. He looks excellent for a true freshman. Agreed. Welcome, Billy. He said, good evening, everybody. Here's a channel member. Let's see. Nolan said men's team started off rocky, but I think we'll be one of the top 3 to 4 teams in the SEC. I agree with that. Let's see here. Eric, welcome, buddy. He said, hey, Evan and Ruston, I figured I'd drop in and say what's up. Unfortunately, got to go. Hey to all the chat. I'm glad you were with us while you were, Eric. David said, welcome, David. He said this Lady Vols team is just mediocre. Team defense is optional. No defensive leadership, especially with Ruby gone. Let's see here. Vols Titans 8 said it was Gardner Webb. We would definitely be more physical looking against them, especially our bigs. Tony said, I would have took the money for Ament and got 2 really good veteran players. I know he's a freshman, but he's got a ways to go. For sure. Absolutely. Let's see. Richard said, probably going to watch the Vols bowl game with my buddies in Huntington Beach. Oh, that's cool. That'd be really cool. David said Steve Hamer was on the call for SEC Network, which is cool. I agree. Yeah, I love hearing him. Tony said, I hope I have to eat crow, but the Lady Vols are not very good. I've been saying it all season. Yeah, they're struggling right now for sure. We'll get to that here in just a second. Billy said, the one thing I saw was, I believe it was the girls' game. They lost a game. Now I could be wrong, but when Pat Summitt was the coach, she hardly lost. The Lady Vols lose another game. Keg, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. David said this Lady Vols team may be a bubble team if they don't tighten up defense. Keg said overall he's been impressed with the play of the big men on the basketball team. Fort Rep just said Peyton Lewis. Yep, we're going to talk about him in a minute. Jared said, hey, Jared, welcome, buddy. He said, if our post was this productive the past 2 years, we would have reached Final Four. 100%. You are spot on. Spot on. Let's see. Billy said, I thought our new coach was a great coach, but now I wonder. Let's see. Elijah's with us. There's a Watch Party fan member. Good to have you, Elijah. Jared said Dalton and Zakai with this post group. Yep, that'd have been pretty sweet. Richard said Amari Evans is a defensive machine. Elijah said Amari Evans is going to have an amazing career here if he decides to stay with us. Nolan said, I love watching Jalen Carey and Brown in the paint. Dwayne Brown, these guys are rebound machines. Yes, they are. Man, Jalen Carey, when he gets the ball down low, he just bullies his way to the basket. Let's see. Elijah said, I don't want to be that guy, but the front court looks much better without Cade Phillips, especially in offense.
Yep.
David said it's Sorsby or Hoover from what it looks like because Joey's situation is still an unknown we can't wait on. So there was one person who commented on one of our videos, and they said that the decision date to grant the appeal for an extra year was December 19th. And that date has come and gone. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but that's what they said. If that's the case, then it's over. Joey's not coming back after this bowl game. So, yeah, I mean, they got to go get it. They got to get a portal guy. Diesel 8067, welcome, buddy. He said Kim Caldwell's lost the respect of her players after kicking Ruby off the team. I don't know about that. Should have punished her, but not kicked her off the team. Let's see.
You can't keep that kid. She
2 criminal violations in less than 6 months. That's not good.
One of which involved police showing up and having to escort her from a facility because she was attempting to kick in doors. And less than 2 months later, she gets arrested again. You can't keep that kid. If there are players on this team, and I'll talk about this team in a minute, but if there are players on this team, and I highly doubt this is true, but if there are players on this team who have lost respect for Kim Caldwell because she kicked Ruby off the team, it just speaks to the lack of mental toughness that they've already displayed. They're missing.
Matt said more Estrella, please, and Elijah agreed with him. He's definitely the best post scorer. Jalen Carey would be a close second. What's the lady from Grand Canyon who's now at Arizona State? Molly Miller, is that her name?
Yep.
So earlier somebody was saying, I hope we made the right hire. Molly Miller has Arizona State undefeated right now. Now I know they haven't played the same schedule we have, but Danny White's always been a home run hire with different coaches, so hopefully this one pans out as well. Elijah said Jalen Carey is a bulldozer. Yes, he is. Well, we don't have Molly Miller. We have Kim Caldwell. So let's talk about the Lady Vols. What did you think about their game yesterday against Louisville in New York City? Yep. Shout out to Pace Salsa commercial.
Let me pull up.
You didn't expect that tonight, did you? You didn't expect a Pace Salsa commercial plug on the Volbert. Not a sponsor. Could be, just saying. I love Pace Salsa. I will show it on the screen every show, Pace Salsa, if you want to sponsor the Vol Bros.
So with 4 minutes left in the third quarter, it was a 4-point game. Two plays.
They were tied 48-all in the third quarter.
Yeah.
And after that, we got outscored by more than double.
A lot more than double. But I'm pointing out the 4-minute mark for a reason. With 4 minutes left in the third quarter, we were down 4, and 2 key plays went against us. From the moment those 2 plays went against us, they got outscored 32-13.
Not ideal. Not ideal.
This team has no leadership. This team has no toughness at all. None of them. They are mentally unstable. And when I say that, I mean they have no emotional control. They ride the ups and downs of an emotional roller coaster. They're on cloud 9 when they're hitting shots, and when they're not, they act like they couldn't care at all. That is emotional instability. That is a complete lack of mental toughness. Kim said the exact same thing after the game, with Z Spearman sitting right next to her, which I thought was interesting. The reality is this. We signed 3 girls out of the transfer portal. One of them has panned out. The other 2 have been total busts. Jersey Wolfenbarger doesn't need to step on the floor at all. She gives you nothing. And not only does she give you nothing, she makes you mentally and emotionally weak because she is not tough in any way, shape, or form. Nia Robertson, I don't know why she's out there. Early in the season, she hit some shots, but right now she's giving you nothing. And she's a liability on defense. She's a terrible on-ball defender. So they're having to rely on young kids. And in my opinion, Alyssa Latham needs to step up and take over this team. She's the only one with toughness on the entire roster, or at least the only one who's playing with toughness. If I were Kim, in the next several days after this Monday cakewalk, I would challenge them emotionally in practice. I would challenge them physically in practice and see which 8 or 9 rise to the occasion. Don't care who they are. And you can rotate every 2 minutes. Just rotate 3 or 4 instead of 5. and play 8 or 9 girls. Find the 8 or 9 that want to sit down in a stance and defend and box out and play with passion and not ride the emotional roller coaster, and recognize that Talasia Cooper never needs to bring the ball up ever again in her life, and let her be a roving player who comes off screens. And I said it a month ago, and I'm going to say it again. They have too much freedom. She's trying to play her brand of offense, which is wide open, freedom of movement, ball screen heavy offense. This bunch isn't high, their basketball IQ isn't high enough to go create quality shots. You have got to run quick hitters at least once every 3 plays to make sure you're getting the shots you want when you want them by who you want taking them. Because this bunch cannot be relied on. Denia Prawl, she and Jada Civil both. Right now, they are full-on freshmen. Like their decision-making could not be worse. And that's to be given. They're in a high-pressure situation. They're true freshmen. Women's basketball is different. You have to kind of roll with the punches and let them grow and let them develop. Lauren Hurst has to be in the rotation. The toughest, next to Alyssa Latham, I would bet Lauren Hurst is the second toughest kid on the team. Alyssa Latham is hands down the toughest. You got to have your toughness out there. You've got to have that injection of passion and willingness to play hard on the floor. Sometimes the portal giveth and the portal taketh away. They lost in the portal this year. Even Janai Barker. Janai is a quality player. When she's on, she's tough to stop. But I watched a video today, and I can't remember the name of the guy who put it together, but he was showing Janai's offensive efficiencies and how when Tennessee is losing, if you look at how Janai plays, she does a lot of over dribbling. She's trying to force things and make things happen, which again, you need some quick hitters to get her in positions to take quality shots, not lean on her to try to go find the shot, because they don't know how to play together and they're not figuring it out. I have a lot of concerns about this roster for the rest of the year. If they keep trying to force this team to be what they are not, right now there's 7 teams in the SEC ranked above us in the top 25, and all 7 of them are a lot better than us right now. And unfortunately, we play all 7 of them in conference play. Alabama is currently not ranked, but they should be. Alabama's playing really well. They're currently 14-0. They're doing very well. They'll be ranked soon. We play them at Alabama. Georgia is currently undefeated. They're 13-0, playing really, really well. Not ranked yet. Will be soon. We play them at Georgia. I'm not sure we can win any of those 9 games. The 7 ranked above us and at Georgia and at Alabama. So that's 9 SEC losses. You only play 17. So that puts you at 8-9 in the conference, which, they'll beat whoever it is they're playing Monday, Southern Indiana, whatever it is.
Indiana.
So that'll make them 9-3. So that means they'll finish the season somewhere around 16-12 with a below 500 record in the conference. That puts them squarely on the bubble, and I'm not sure they get in because I don't know that they're going to have many quality wins.
Side note, I just found Southern Indiana's mascot. We're going to have to put that on the screen here in a minute.
But I will also say this. Kim Caldwell's a really good coach. She's dealing with an incredibly difficult position of they went out and they got girls in the portal who haven't panned out. They have 0 leadership from their returning players and 5 freshmen who they're trying to bring along as fast as they can, 4 of which are currently playing like freshmen. It's a recipe for disaster. Hopefully, they shorten the bench. They figure out which 8 or 9 are going to play hard all the time. They go to Alyssa Latham and say, you have to lead this team. No one else can. Z Spearman cannot lead anything. That's not her personality. Talasia Cooper is too emotionally unsound. You can't rely on her to lead anything. It's got to be Alyssa Latham. Kanaya Boyd, for whatever reason, she's in a sophomore slump, and she's struggling right now badly. They need her to figure things out so that she and Mia Paldo can rotate, bring the ball up the court, and then get the ball out of Talasia's hands. Because the more quarters we have where Talasia Cooper's the primary ball handler, I'm just going to say right now, every game we play where Talasia Cooper's the primary ball handler, you can go ahead and chalk it up as a loss. It's not going to work.
Richard, thank you so much for that super chat, man. You are the man. Thank you. That is awesome. I promise you we will come back to that question right there. We're going to finish talking about Lady Vols, and then we'll do that. David said Kim's issue is her schemes and platoon subs aren't effective without great team defense on this level. She got away with her scheme against lesser talent.
That's not true. This is the same team that made it to the Elite Eight last year. The system hasn't changed.
Sweet 16, yeah. Jonathan said, I think Caldwell's the right hire, but they have to quit relying on threes. There isn't a great three-point shooter on the team. They have to get to the paint and assert themselves.
Yeah.
That's what's interesting. The whole system is built on shooting threes. Like when Kim was first hired, she's changed, man, so much because she had to, because she doesn't have the shooters that she wants. When she first got hired, I vividly remember saying, we want to shoot a three less than 10 seconds after we get a ball. We want to shoot a three. Well, I don't know if anybody noticed the stat they showed yesterday during the game, but right now, Tennessee, the Lady Vols are number 1 in the country in three-pointers attempted. Unfortunately, they're 202nd in three-point percentage made. That is not a good recipe. That is not a good recipe. They gotta have. There's no Jewel Spear and Samara Spencer on this team. They gotta find some people who can shoot.
And again, the portal giveth and the portal taketh away. Those are two portal finds that panned out and ended up being great. There is right now in Knoxville at King's Academy, there's a shooter that could come in as a freshman next year and absolutely help them. Girl can light it up. One of the best high school shooters I've seen in a long time. They need to be going after kids like that. They need to recognize that they can't, if they want to play this style, there are shooters all over this state who dream of being Lady Vols, who they need to go find and figure out how to fit them into this system.
Well, they got one sitting on the bench right now.
Yeah.
Her name is Lauren Hurst, and they refuse to put her in the game. So if they want to play this style of basketball with shooters all over the court, then the shooters that they do have, they got to put in. And that's where it's not translating right now for Kim. The system she wants to run with the players that she has, it's not translating. David said this team is a total reflection of Kim's misevaluation of her players. I hope she learns from this.
Well, let's not. One person doesn't evaluate. It's the entire staff. I would be curious why they thought they could fix Jersey Wolfenbarger. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'd rather rein in a Mustang than try to get a donkey to sprint. It's not hard to recognize a donkey. I would be curious to know what in the world they saw in Jersey Wolfenbarger that they were like, oh, we can fix that. Nia Robertson averaged almost 15 points a game last year. For whatever reason, it hasn't translated.
Yeah, and you know, Molly Miller's success is what everybody's comparing Kim to, because that could have been the person they went after, and it's not. So we'll see, man. But it's something's got to change. I know that. That's for sure. Bobby, welcome, buddy. He said Masamba, Evans, and Boswell looked awesome out there today. A great trio playing together, especially defensively. Yeah, totally agree. David said Kelly Harper left her a talented roster, but she's wasting the players she has. Well,
What?
so all the players from Kelly's roster is gone,
There's
except for
nobody on this team
Malaysia
from that.
Cooper.
And Talasia never stepped foot on the court.
Yeah, she was a transfer and had to sit out a year.
I will say this: all the people who are comparing this team to Molly Miller, I'll just point out Arizona State has not played a ranked team, not a single one.
Yep.
So it's apples and oranges. Until they play somebody, then we'll see what they're really made of.
Jonathan said, I thought Latham needs to play more for a while now. She seems like she gives max effort every time she's out there. David said, we could legit not win 20 games this year. Yeah, that's totally agree. Totally agree. This could be the first.
Right now, I'm predicting 16 and 12.
I mean, this could be the first Tennessee Lady Vols team to never make or to not make the NCAA tournament, which would be awful, just awful, because we're still the only team in women's college basketball that's made every single women's tournament. We're it. Let's see. Jonathan said, are we going to get the breakdown of Southern Indiana's mascot? He thought of it before I even pulled it up. Yes, you are actually, because it's amazing. The name is my favorite part. We'll get to that in a moment. Let's see. Nolan said, even if we still had Ruby, I don't think that one girl would all of a sudden take this team from a mid SEC team to pretty dang good. Correct. Yeah.
I will say this, and this might actually be an indictment on the entire roster. Ruby played really hard. Ruby was an energy bringer. And they tended to feed off of how she was playing. So in a lot of ways, she kind of led this bunch. Now, that's a little terrifying that the person who got arrested twice in 6 months was leading the team.
Let's see. Well, okay, Tony, yeah. He said we should have hired NC State or Louisville's women's coach. They're running players in and out every 1 2 minutes won't bring any type of championship. They should have hired Wes Moore, who is now at NC State. They should have hired him years ago.
Yeah.
He was at UTC.
When we hired Holly Warlick, we had an opportunity to hire Wes Moore, and we passed. So, and I know for a fact he was politicking for the job. He wanted the job. They overlooked him and hired Holly Warlick.
Diesel said, I'm a diehard Tennessee fan, but Ruston is delusional about Kim Caldwell. She is not an elite coach.
She won a national championship. People who don't know basketball don't understand how hard it is to win a national championship at any level, much less Division II. Division II is extremely hard to win national championship because it's cutthroat. The rosters get pulled together every year. Players are constantly bouncing from school to school. A lot of it is taking chances on kids who got kicked out of Division I schools. It's very difficult to build a roster. It's even harder to win a championship. And she went to, I believe, 3 Final Fours and won a national championship. Her first year at Marshall, she won 30 games. They've never won 30 games in the history of Marshall University. She did it in year 1. So, sorry, you're wrong.
Timothy, thank you very much for that super chat, buddy. We appreciate that. He said, "This is what happens when fans say just throw money at players, and it's just a lot of bad nucleus."
Yeah,
that's fair. Revel Jew, welcome, buddy. He said, "Just got here. Go Vols from Israel. It's about 5 a.m. here. Fly back to Tennessee on Tuesday." Wow, how about that? Well, safe travels, man. I hope you have a wonderful time while you're there. Safe travels, buddy. Let's see. Nolan said, "I'm not sold on Kim not being a great Power 4 coach. I think next year is the real test. She will have a full roster of her girls that she wanted. And if they still look like this, then, maybe we talk then."
she made the Elite Eight yet last year, and there was only one girl on that roster. I guess you could say three, but only one that actually contributed, who was a holdover. The entire rest of the offense were girls she brought in. Kelly's girls didn't contribute.
Ben, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. He said Kim will win with this team. Just needs to come together, give them some time.
There's some massive changes that need to happen. There's a couple of them that need to hit the road, and they need to go out and actively recruit toughness.
Rebel Jew said he came to Israel for Hanukkah and to see extended family. That's really cool, man. I think you might be the first person to ever watch our show from Israel. Well, that's pretty awesome. That's pretty cool. You are the GOAT. You are the farthest away watching. That is amazing. Let's see. Jonathan said, "I don't want Kim fired at all, but if we don't make the tournament for the first time, would Danny White consider firing her?" She would immediately be put on the hot seat. Like, I don't think there's any question about that. You are at the University of Tennessee. You make the women's tournament. If you don't, there's a serious problem. Kelly Harper made it every year she coached here. Holly Warlick made it every year she coached here. Tennessee has never not been in the women's NCAA tournament. If they don't make it, immediate hot seat. Like, there's no other option there.
Yeah, but he's not going to fire her. He's going to give her an opportunity to overhaul the roster, which is what needs to happen.
Rebel G said it was a long flight there and going to be a long flight back. Yeah. Yeah, folks are saying it was Sweet 16. Yeah, Sweet 16 last year. Let's see. Diesel said Division II is not the SEC. Stop the cap. I like the lingo. That's the young folks lingo for today. For those who don't know, that means stop lying. That's what that means. Let's see. David said, "I hope that UConn isn't her only signature win in her first 2 years." That's a fair point. She did beat Gino Auriemma last year. That's a good point. Like, 5 days after she gave birth. So that's pretty cool. Let's see. Nolan said, "I'm just so tired of having the most decorated and historically great programs and not feeling like we're lost." Okay. Totally understand. Elijah said, "Look at you go, Evan, knowing the young people slang." Recognize. Yeah. So they do play Southern Indiana tomorrow night. That game is in Knoxville. It's in Thompson Bowling Arena at 6:30 p.m. It is on SEC Network Plus. So not the regular SEC network. My favorite part of our show is going to be putting this mascot on the screen. So Southern Indiana are the Screaming Eagles. The Screaming Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
This is their mascot. His name is Archibald T. Eagle. Would you like to know what the T stands for?
Probably the.
That's it. That's my favorite part.
That's definitely a fan contest that ended badly.
Oh man, that is amazing. Archibald T. Eagle. T stands for the. And that's actually what it really does stand for, too. That's amazing. That is absolutely incredible. So hopefully Archibald makes the trip with the team tomorrow. Apparently they call themselves the Screagles for short. Screaming Eagles. They call themselves the Screagles. That's incredible.
If you could consolidate from 4 syllables down to 2, that's a move you make.
Yeah, I mean that's a legit point for sure. Well, I sincerely hope that Archibald T. I can't even say without laughing. Oh my goodness. They couldn't just call him Archibald. Like, no, it's Archibald T. Eagle. What's the T stand for? The. Oh, that's wonderful. I love it. I love it. So that's the mascot that hopefully we'll see roaming the sidelines of the Food City Center at Thompson Bowling Arena tomorrow night. That game, let's see, that game tips off at 6:30. So it's a 6:30 p.m. game on SEC Network Plus. Oh, that's amazing. Nolan said, is that the off-brand Auburn War Eagle? That's a Screagle right there, baby. Screaming Eagle. That is incredible. Let's see here. I'm gonna get back to the comments here. Billy said, do you think Danny White will fire Josh Hutton? No, not at all. No. Rebel Juice said, especially not before next season now. Like, who would you get? Like, there's nobody.
He says a little further down, ever.
Oh, ever. Okay. I mean, if he had to, yeah. Listen, if Heupel has a losing season, he's done. Like, that's the way it goes in Tennessee. Next year is going to be a tough year for Josh Heupel. We'll see. We might be having this conversation next year. We'll see. Rebel Juice said the Music City Bowl will be on a Tuesday at 4:30. That makes it even more pointless. Yeah, fair. Absolutely.
5:30 Eastern.
Tony said, I get so mad watching the Lady Vols. No basketball IQ at all. No toughness.
Yep.
Agreed. It's the lack of understanding of the game that is frustrating at times for me personally.
That and the emotional insecurity, like they are so easily demoralized, and unfortunately, that's not something you can really teach. Like, you can try to make people as tough as you can, but if it's not intrinsic, you're only going to get so far.
Jonathan said the random school mascot segments is one of his favorite segments that we do. Mine too, buddy. Mine too. I love it. I love it. Whoa, Timothy, man, thank you very much. Thank you for that super chat. He said fans are delusional when it comes to football and basketball. If they have a bad season, it's fire the coach. No patience like we have when Majors took over. He had more than 2 bad seasons, and he stayed like 17 years. Thank you very much for those super chats. Jeff said if Hype loses more than 4 games next year, he's out. So here's my take on next year. Next year is going to be arguably the toughest. Now, I'm not even going to say arguably. Next year is going to be the toughest season for Josh Heupel since he's been here. He is going to be operating the offense with fourth quarterback in 4 years. With the toughest schedule that he's faced since he's been here. He cannot afford to lose more than 4 games, I agree. As long as he goes 6-6, he retains his job. And he's on the hot seat for the next year. If Tennessee does not go back to the playoff in 2027, he gets fired, in my opinion. Because 2027 should be the year when they've got the dudes to make something happen. Because George McIntyre, a 5-star quarterback, would then be in his 3rd year in the program. Faison Brandon would then be in his 2nd year in the program. So you have 2 5-star quarterbacks to pick from. If you can't make it to the playoff that year, you're gone. I mean, that's just the reality of it. He certainly doesn't have a free pass next year. If he has a losing season, there may be, I mean, that might be it. But I think he can at least go 6-6, make a bowl game, and retain his job. But he would certainly be on the hot seat.
If I'm Josh Heupel, I'm politicking hard to join the ACC.
Yeah, for real.
I want to go play in a conference where I can win the championship every year without having to really play anyone.
Yep. David said major college sports have no patience because they're pro sports now. He's exactly right. Yeah. Rebel G said, I didn't see the Miami Texas A&M game, but I saw the score. I'm guessing defense showed up on both teams. Wish our Vols had a defense like that this season.
Nope. It was incredibly bad offense on both sides of the ball. Horrendously bad offense. It was a disgusting game to watch. They set offensive football back about 30 years.
Tony said, I'm hearing now that we're looking at Hoover from TCU. They are. That was actually their primary target last year. And I could be wrong about this. It sounds like he used the interest from Tennessee to get more money from TCU. That's what it sounds like.
Yep. With Kendall Browse leaving, that opened the door for him to be available.
Elijah said, I don't know about that. As far as like next year, he said the schedule is a gauntlet. Yeah, for real. Next year is going to be Heupel's most difficult year at Tennessee that he's had yet. So if 8-4 is what happened this year, what's going to happen next year when it's even more difficult? We'll find out. Let's see. Jeff said it's not the same sport anymore. More money than ever, year-to-year sport. Yeah, I mean, it's free agency every year, basically. That's basically what's going on. Timothy said, "See, fans are delusional. Always fire the coach." That is the most common reaction there, for sure. Billy said, "I think if he doesn't change his ways of playing, Heupel will be fired. Personally, I don't think he will. I've seen great teams win. Heupel was never a great coach." I mean, we did just go to the playoff last year. This year was a letdown. I agree. Are we saying here's my question though. If one kick against Georgia is 7 feet to the left, all of a sudden we're 9-3, having beat Georgia. If we don't have a strip sack fumble against Oklahoma, do we end up winning that game? I mean, there's so many. I mean, we were literally 2 to 3 plays away from being 10-2 or 11-1 this year. So my main concern was what happened in the second half against Vanderbilt. That was my main concern. I don't know. E Jizzle, that's a cool name. He said they need past players coming back and practicing with the team like they used to. Show these younger kids what it means while playing and after what it means to be a Lady Vol.
It's not legal anymore. You can thank Dabo Sweeney for that. He had I can't remember what year it was. It was either 2018, somewhere between 2018 and 2020. He had alums on the scout team because his scout team couldn't simulate things. He had past players coming back and pretending to be certain guys to simulate looks, and the NCAA ended up banning it because he was taking advantage of it. So, and then it went to every sport. They made it illegal across the board.
Little Rock Vol said, "Hi y'all, ho ho ho, Vol fam." Matt said, "I'm on Team Hypel." Jonathan asked a question here, and I'm gonna ask this question, and then I'm gonna go back to the comment we had earlier from Richard. Richard's in Portland, Oregon right now. We're gonna make sure we get his comment. So Jonathan said, let's see here. He said, "Do you think we'll get Hoover from TCU or Sorsby from Cincinnati? Which one would you rather have?"
You want me to answer first?
Well, I think we need to say one thing. Sorsby's girlfriend went to Texas Tech, right? Yeah, so he's gone. He's going to Texas Tech. So that leaves Hoover from TCU or one of the other plethora of guys that have entered the portal.
And before anybody says, well, who cares? It's just a girl. It wasn't just a random girl enrolling at Texas Tech. She's a volleyball player, and she transferred, went in the portal, and transferred to Texas Tech. For those of you who haven't seen the story, there's a really cool story out there, and it's a video. You could probably find it on YouTube that College Game Day did, where they're interviewing donors at Texas Tech. And there are 3 or 4 billionaire donors at Texas Tech who said, until they start reining this in, we're going to give to Texas Tech athletics like there's no tomorrow, and we're going to take advantage of this NIL program stuff that isn't being monitored or vetted, and we're going to go out and get whoever we want. So there is an obscene...
Almost bought him a softball championship last year.
Yeah. And here they are, they went from, middle of the pack Big 12 team to number 4 in the college football playoffs in 1 year. So, and they talk about on there that they used analytics and they basically identified 10 guys in the portal that they felt like could put them over the top right now. And they went and got all 10 of them. They didn't miss on anybody. Because they were able to pay whatever they wanted and they beat everybody else's prices. So it's going to be interesting to see how long they can maintain that. But as soon as Sorsby's girlfriend transferred to Texas Tech to play volleyball there, I would say he isn't just going to get a lucrative deal. I would say she's probably the highest paid player on the volleyball team at Texas Tech because they wanted to make sure that he followed quickly. So with that in mind, I think Josh Hoover's probably the best option in there. We had a really interesting conversation with Austin Price the other day, and you can go back and watch it. It's on our video links. And I asked him what the going rate is for a top shelf quarterback in NIL right now is, and it's creeping up on $5 million. And I asked him the question, I hope Josh Hoover isn't worth $5 million. I hope he's more in the 2.5 to 3 realm. But I asked him, at what point do you cut bait and go, hey, we're not going to spend $5 million on DJ Lagway. We're going to start George, and we're going to spend $3 million on studs to put around him and make him successful. So there's always that dynamic that's at play as well. So my opinion is if you can't get Josh Hoover, I don't think there's anybody else in the portal right now that's worth more than Josh Hoover. So I would cut bait and go, okay, who can we go get? How many receivers, how many linemen, how many tight ends, how many running backs? How can we load up around George McIntyre to make him uber successful?
The only problem with that is it still leaves you with only 2 scholarship quarterbacks on the team next year.
Yeah, I'm saying go sign some slappy to be the third stringer and tell Faison, hey, congratulations, you get to be the backup as a freshman.
So Richard said earlier, he said, guys, could I get your opinion on what I think are critical in the portal? He said 3 defensive tackles. I'm going to keep a tally here. 3, 2 corners, 5, 2 safeties, 7, 1 quarterback, 8, 1 edge rusher, 9. Well, here's the good news, Richard. You got one more to play with because one
At
Austin
least.
said, yeah, Austin said that they're probably going to have at least 10 guys transfer in. So, which means the first week of January is going to be hopping because there's going to be people announcing all over the place. Now,
and you're probably going to see a bunch of defensive guys first because Jim Knowles is going to have the opportunity to go get what he needs.
So here's what I would say about what you got there. The 2 corners and 2 safeties, I think you are right on the money, buddy. I think that's what they're going to do. I would say probably 2 defensive tackles. If it were me, that's what I would predict, but maybe not. I mean, it might be 3. I'll say this: 3 defensive linemen. How about that? Let's just operate on the. Let's say we got 10. So let's say of the 10, 2 corners, 2 safeties. And now we're at 4. Just like you got there. I'm going to say 3 defensive linemen, hopefully at least 2 defensive tackles in that 3. So now you're at 7. We got 3 more to play with. In my opinion, you got to get a quarterback. It's a win now or get fired league. That's just my opinion. So you got 2 more. You don't need a wide receiver.
I wouldn't say that. I think if there's somebody out there looking who you're like, that dude starts right now. There's our next There's our next Chris Brazzell. I think you go get that guy in a heartbeat.
For sure. But what I'm saying is, like, based on who we have right now on roster, that's not the most pressing position. What is interesting now is if we only have 2 guys left on our 8 here, you would have liked to have been able to go get an offensive lineman. That's, in my opinion, not an option anymore. Now with Peyton Lewis announcing he's entering the portal, you may have to go get a running back because Star Thomas is gone.
I don't think there's any may about it. I think you have to go get a quarterback. I mean, running back. Right now it's Deshaun Bishop, DeJuan Morris, and
true freshman.
So yeah, you've got to go get. I mean, you got another redshirt freshman there in Justin Baker, but you got money to burn. And I mean, just to be candid, Savion Hyder is still sitting out there, and Michigan is royally screwing up this hire. And
I wonder if that's why Peyton Lewis is entering the portal.
Right. And the longer he sits out there and the more money we have to offer at some point, because he's an early enrollee. Like, he's trying to figure out where he's going to school in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, I wouldn't overlook that one.
Yeah, I hope that's who they get. So that's the 9th guy. So we have 1 more. In my opinion, you have to get a linebacker. That's my opinion. And not everybody shares that opinion. I understand that. But here's the reality of the situation. Right now on our roster, returning guys, we only have one person, one linebacker that has more than 1 year of on-field experience, and that's Jeremiah Thielander. That's it. That's the only person. Edwin Spillman, Jaden Perlotti both had, breakout years this year, but they only have 1 year of on-field experience. Jaden Harmon has kind of half a year of on-field experience, and everybody else is going to be true freshmen. So it's a win now or get fired league. If people want to win now, especially with the schedule we have coming up next year, you have to have another dude that has major experience on the field at linebacker. It's just the way it is. So that would be the only person I would add. But I think your breakdown there would be fantastic. We do have to get a running back now that Peyton's transferring, but I think your list is great.
And that number, he said at least 10.
Yeah.
So, I think it's probably going to creep up closer to 15, especially with the roster expanding to 105. Like, they got a lot of flexibility.
So we had a flurry of comments. People like talking about that transfer portal. So I'm going to try to get through the comments as quickly as I can here. Let's see here. Jeff said, rumor has it Georgia's gone if they bring in a transfer starter. I hope not. I think it's a dumb move. I want Hype to succeed. I'm just giving my thoughts. So in that situation, here's what I hope they would tell him. I would say, look at Ty Simpson. Look at, who was the guy for Bama that sat for like 3 years and then played 2 and got drafted?
Mac Jones.
Yeah. So look at those guys. Look at Joe Milton, for that matter. I mean, it has been proven repeatedly that it only takes 1 year, 2 at the most, of playing to get drafted as a quarterback. Joe Milton came in, he started. He had a whole season as a starter for what, 1 year? Maybe 2. I can't even remember now. 1 year, 23. Because 22 was Hendon, 23 was Joe, 24 was Nico, 25 was Joey. So he got drafted. It took 1 year. That's it. That's all it takes now. So that's what I would hope they would tell McIntyre. That's what I'm hoping they're telling Faison Brandon too. Let's see. Elijah was talking about the Miami and Texas A&M game. He said that game was awful. Let's see. Diesel said, you can definitely teach toughness and a competitive mindset. I'm a combat veteran, and you can tell Caldwell has no leadership abilities, just excuses. Attitude is a reflection of leadership. David said Miami running back was awesome, and that's it. Let's see. Jonathan said, you don't think a Power 4 conference shouldn't have a champion with a 7-5 record? That's when you're talking about the ACC. Yeah, definitely it would be easier to win a conference championship in the ACC. That's for sure. Rebel Jew agreed with you. He said the Vols would absolutely dominate the ACC, but I'm not sure that conference is around much longer, especially if Florida State and Clemson leave. Yeah, for sure. Nolan said, I think we can definitely flip this roster and be able to compete for a playoff spot next year, especially if we get a good quality transfer quarterback. I think we can fix the defense easily. They have to get some secondary guys on the defense. They have to. For us to even have a chance at a playoff next year. We have to have almost a whole new secondary because Ricky Gibson's gone. Well, not gone. Colton Hood is gone. He hasn't announced that, but he's not coming back. Colton Hood will be gone. Jermon McCoy will be gone. Andre Turntine's gone. I mean, they got to get dudes. Boo Carter's gone. I mean, the cupboard is bare. And so, like, they got to go get some dudes. Thankfully, we have Ricky Gibson and Ty Redmond coming back. They got to get some guys back there.
Jordan Thomas should be healthy. That'll help.
He retired.
Oh, did
he? Yeah, he sure did.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I agree totally. Jalen McMurray's gone. So, I mean, the cupboard is bare. Like, they got to go find some guys.
Good news is that's a lot of spots open for the portal. So Jim Knowles can go actively recruit what he needs.
Let's see. Eric said the lackluster play wasn't on Coach Heupel and his offense. It was on Tim Banks and that defense that couldn't tackle. Offense wasn't perfect, but they were the best since 2022.
Mm-hmm.
We did lead the SEC in passing. I will say that. Rebel Juice said, I wonder if Notre Dame realizes they should join a conference yet, like the ACC. If Tennessee and Notre Dame both join, they would be our top rival there. Clemson probably our second rival there. Yeah, we're not going to leave the SEC, but Notre Dame should join the ACC. John said that oil money's hitting big at Texas Tech. Absolutely. Herb said Sorsby's parents moved to Knoxville. Very interesting.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
That was it's a $5 million.
That was I think 3 years ago. They did that because it was easy to get to Cincinnati from there.
Timothy said, why pay $5 million when you have McIntyre and Brandon Faison, or Faison Brandon? He said, just get a depth piece.
I think it's an option. And again, I think it comes down to what can you do with that money? How much can you surround him with guys who are going to make him better? There's a lot of really accomplished game manager quarterbacks out there who are surrounded by studs who made them look great. Trent Dilfer being the first one ever.
So I guess my question to that would be, with our schedule next year, would all of All Nation be okay with going 8-4 and missing the playoff again?
But I think that's what I'm saying, though. I'm not sure you would. If you surround that guy with enough really, really good players and you upgrade the defense, maybe you're not 8-4, maybe you're 9-3, maybe you're 10-2. I think it depends on.
Certainly be a risk, for sure.
Money talks, and if you can go get 2 big-time wide receivers to go with Staley and Matthews, you can go get 1 established running back plus Savion Hyder to go with Sean Bishop. You go get a couple offensive linemen. You've already got Ethan Davis and Deshaun Brame at tight end. All of a sudden, you can make some hay.
Now, I'd agree with this comment from Diesel right here. He said, I like Rocco Beck. And just so everybody knows, Rocco Beck from Iowa State entered the portal this weekend, or announced his intentions to enter the portal.
Surely he's going with his coaching staff.
Probably. Let's see. Nolan said, I doubt GMAC leaves simply because we get another quarterback who could start. If he does, then he's definitely not a competitor. Also true. Slim said, we need a running back or 2. Yeah, we need at least 1. Nolan said he would go after a quarterback, running back, 2 defensive tackles, an edge, a middle linebacker, a corner, and 2 safeties. So he's still got 1 more to play with there as well if he wants to.
At least. I mean, with Peyton Lewis entering the portal today, if that number was at 10, now it's at 11.
Yep. Tony said, I think we need minimum 8 on defense, quarterback and running back. I think we get at least 10 to 12. Let's see here. I mean, like Ruston just said, that's a good point. With Peyton on the transfer or going into the transfer portal, the number went from 10 to 11 right there, at least. So it's going to be a lot of new faces. That's for sure. Welcome, but I guess that's welcome to modern college football. Rebel G said, do you think Nico hits the portal again? Don't know if he does. Wouldn't want him back if he did. Andrew said, so close to going 10-2 or 6-6. Last 2 seasons were pretty easy schedules. We'll see how good Heupel is in the next couple of years. Yeah, 100% agree.
Yep.
Like I said, next year will be his toughest schedule yet that he's had at Tennessee. The year after that is the year that he should be heavily competing for a national championship. Just being honest. We should be in at least the quarterfinals, if not the semifinals of the playoff, at least making a push for a national championship, because he would have 2 5-star quarterbacks on the roster and a bank load of money from Adidas to be dishing out to whoever he wants. So 2027 is really the year that the rubber meets the road. David said, I think Heupel saw Lagway and Arch struggled and doesn't want to gamble his job next year. Let's see. Jeff said, here's the breakdown he would do. Quarterback, 2 defensive tackles, 2 defensive ends, 2 corners, 2 safeties, and a running back. Yeah. I mean, I would say maybe take one of the. Well, of course, now we got 11. Yeah, like I said, now we got 11. So the 11th would be the linebacker. There you go. We can just add him on there now. Tony said, if Mike Matthews asked for more money and let it hit the road, he's paid enough. Matt said Baker is good. He is. He's a good back from a great high school. I'm excited to see what he does. Elijah said we wouldn't even have a true freshman at running back because we didn't sign one. That's a good point. Jeff said we also need a kicker. That's a fair point, maybe, actually. Hopefully we make pressure kicks next year. Matt said 1 linebacker. I agree.
I think it's at least. I think there's going to be some. I have a lot of questions there. I don't think our current linebacking room fits Jim Knowles' perception of what linebackers should be. So I think he can turn Jaden Perlotti into what he needs. I think he can probably turn Edwin Spillman into what he needs. I'm curious what he thinks about Jeremiah Thielander. I don't see anybody else in the room that he's going to want. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that bunch.
David said Michigan doesn't know who their coach is, and they're waiting until after the playoffs. Is roster anarchy.
Well, and not only that, I think it was Chris Lowe. Actually, I know it was Chris Lowe, who was commenting, and Chris Lowe doesn't say anything unless he knows. He was commenting that there are agents telling coaches to avoid Michigan because of all the inside turmoil. So I don't think it's them waiting till after the playoffs. I think it's them getting turned down by every person they contact.
Yep. Most recently was Dillingham.
Yeah.
Who used that to get a nice little raise at Arizona State. Diesel said, get Jim Knowles whatever he wants. Yeah. David said, we have Bishop, Morris, and Baker. That's true, we do. But we're in the SEC. Would that trio of backs strike fear in a defensive coordinator? Probably not.
No.
Probably not. We need at least Deshaun is the man. Deshaun will strike fear into a defensive coordinator, but you got to have at least one other dude that can do that as well. Let's see. David said, Austin said 12 to 15. He said we at least have 10. Now we at least have 11 because Peyton's in the portal. Unless Austin knew that and he was including that in the number he told us. Billy said, I don't care if you get a field goal or lose a fumble. You can get back into the game. Fake punt, trick plays will get you back in the game. Matt said Knowles needs like 4 safeties in the portal. David said get Knowles the top 2 or 3 safeties available. Let's see. Nolan said, look at Joe Burrow. One crazy good season in the Natty. Yeah. And he became top 5 draft pick. Absolutely. Tony said GMAC's not leaving. John said on defense, we need at least one at every position. On offense, we really don't need a whole lot. The quarterback, maybe running back. If you can find a top wide receiver, go for it. But if Hurd doesn't go to the draft, I think we're good. Yeah, Hurd's not going to go to the draft. Nolan said, besides the Bama versus OU game, every playoff game so far has not been good. Yep, that's fair. Chad, welcome, buddy. Is this like former Arkansas and SMU coach Chad Morse? That'd be cool. He said, remember when JMU almost beat Oregon? Oh, wait, it wasn't even close. Yeah, we're going to talk about that here in just a second as well. Timothy said, hey, thank you for that super chat, Timothy. He said, maybe Big 12 would be good for us. Yeah, I mean, teams in Big 12 certainly have an easier path than teams in the SEC. Chad said top 12 teams. So Matt Mitchell tonight on his video said Indiana at one point this season played 6 straight unranked teams. All of them were conference games in the Big Ten. Interesting.
Back to that safety comment. I just looked it up to make sure. I thought I knew this, but I just verified it. Jim Knowles offered Idris Farouk at Ohio State.
That's cool.
So there's at least one safety back there that he likes.
Chad said top 12 teams in regardless of conference. Absolutely. It needs to be the top. It needs to be the best teams. We're going to talk about that in a second. I'm going to read 2 different comments about that tonight and get y'all's opinion. Matt was reminding me Gibson's back. He is. Absolutely. Matt said, should we go after Hyder? Absolutely. Chad said, please don't pick up Sorsby.
I guarantee you Hyder is a daily conversation.
John said, would we even go 8-4 next year with a first-year starter? That scares me with that schedule. I mean, that's a fair question. It's a fair question. Little Rock Vol said, isn't Aguilar's court decision irrelevant at this point? Yes, it is. We have to go get another quarterback now. 100%. Yeah. Josh said, the schedule I don't think will be as daunting as we think. Lots of first-year head coaches we go against. However, we must go get a big-name quarterback to go 10-2. Not going to do it with GMAC or Faison Brandon. Yeah.
Those first-year coaches aren't normal first-year coaches, though. There's only one that doesn't. There's only one that doesn't strike fear in my heart, and that's Ryan Silverfield at Arkansas. He's going to bomb. That'll be a win. But you know, Golish is going to put together a very good squad with a really good defense and unlimited resources. And speaking of unlimited resources, Lane Kiffin ain't going to be a first-year coach. He's going to have an insane roster full of studs, and they are going to be very good.
Yeah.
He's got a blank check.
Yeah, the Louisiana governor is assuring that they're going to have a good roster.
Yeah.
And the Louisiana governor, the governor of the state, was trash-talking Ole Miss fans on Twitter the other day. What a world we live in, baby. What a world we live in. Chad said T-Lander was trash this year. Let's just be honest. He missed so many open field tackles. He certainly didn't have as good a year as everybody would hope. But he is our most experienced linebacker coming back, which means we need another one in the portal. Rebel Juice said, we do need a kicker. Oklahoma has a good one. Let's take him. Yeah, Josh said Michigan also won't have an AD in a few weeks.
Correct. They're going through their crazy state of Michigan due diligence period right now, but that dude will be fired as soon as that's over with.
Chad said Michigan shouldn't even have a football team with all the chaos and corruption going on up there. Green Wave said, go ahead.
I was just going to say they're firing everybody. Like that whole department's getting cleaned out.
Green Wave said, I'd rather us go to the Big Ten, plenty of cupcakes, and we wouldn't lose TV money like if we went to the Big 12 or ACC. We're never going to leave the SEC. Like it's just not going to happen.
Except you're going to have to compete against Ohio State, Indiana, Michigan, Oregon for a championship every year. In the ACC, you don't have to compete against anybody to win a championship.
Yeah. Vols Titans said, if there is a season to overpay for a season, this is it. Brutal schedule. Got to pay to compete to be elite. Yeah, that's the approach Ole Miss took last year. They're now in the playoff. That's the approach that LSU is about to take for next year. Rebel G said playoffs definitely needs to be top 12. A team ranked 24th has no right being in that. That was proven. I agree with you. Josh said not to change subject, but Kim is in over her head. It's glorified AAU basketball and the players give zero effort. The ladies we have are hard to root for. Bad attitudes. Yeah. BG said, which quarterback do you predict we get out of the portal?
Hoover.
I mean, I think that's the guy everybody would have to assume right now for sure. Jeff said, let the group of 5 play a national championship between the teams in that group.
Or how about we don't do participation trophies and just let them go to a bowl like everybody else?
Yeah. Matt said, is it still a possibility for Hyder? Yep. Get that guy and then get DGG next year from Baylor. Sign me up for that. That would be the way to do it for sure.
Yep.
Diesel said, so what's the deal with Joey? All right, so here's the deal with Joey. Last year, Diego Pavia got an extension, filed a lawsuit against the NCAA. He got 1 year extra eligibility. Because of that, Joey Aguilar also got 1 year of extra eligibility last year, which this year now, the year we're ending. That's why Joey could come back. Pavia or Vanderbilt is now saying that they are filing for another year in the lawsuit for another year of eligibility for Diego Pavia. If that were to be granted, then he could come back for another year, which means Joey could also come back for another year. The problem is, and somebody was saying that it was December 19th was the day that it had to have been granted by. I don't know if that's accurate or not. If it is, then the date is now passed. It was not granted. So Joey can't come back. The problem, though, is even if it's not that date, they can't wait around to see if it gets granted, if it's like appealed or whatever. They can't wait. They have to go get a guy because the portal opens the first week of January and everybody and their brother is going to be in there picking their team that they're going to. So you can't wait around to see. They have to go get, if they want a dude, they got to go get him first week of January, bottom line. Let's see. Chad said it's obvious strength of schedule doesn't matter anymore in college football. 100%. Yeah. Just go schedule the easiest schedule possible and go to the playoff. I mean, it's really that simple. You're exactly right. Yeah. Eric said, I think
it doesn't matter right now. I think it will moving forward. I think these two teams getting in this year will force the NCAA to change things.
Timothy, thank you for that super chat. I think you actually just hit the nail on the head of what every quarterback is going to be doing from this point forward. He said, I will say this, fans can roll their eyes, but if we can't or won't develop GMAC or Brandon, then there's no point in getting high school quarterbacks. Just go get JUCO, a group of 5 guys every year. So here's the thing. In my opinion, I think we're about to see a major shift in high school recruiting across the country for quarterbacks. Because think about what is happening right now. There are dudes who are coming from low power fours, high, group of 5 schools that are making bank right now in the transfer portal. If you are a high 4-star quarterback, even if you're a 5-star, you can make the case, no, you need to go to a big power 4 school. But if you are a high 4-star quarterback and you are not going to be starting your first year at the school you're going to, why go there? Go somewhere that's a group of 6 school. Start for 2 years. And then go on the transfer portal and make even more money than you would have if you had just gone and signed out of high school.
I think you can use a minor league baseball model and do both. If I'm Josh Heupel, I'm calling MTSU and I'm saying, hey, I want you all to thrive. I want you all to do well. I'm going to place these 12 guys with you this year. And here's Spire Sports. They are the NIL collective we would like for you to use. And they're going to make sure that these 12 guys stay with you for the next 2 years. And I want you to play them as much as humanly possible. And they're going to make you better. And I want you to develop them. But in 2 years, I'm coming back and they're leaving. And I'll replace them with 12 others. Spire Sports is not the University of Tennessee's NIL collective. It's an NIL collective. They can represent any player at any university. So rather than me as a true freshman coming and sitting on the bench at Tennessee and hardly ever getting to play solely because I want this NIL deal, why can't I get that same NIL deal, take it to MTSU, because Spire Sports worked it out that way, play there for 2 years, get the reps I need to develop, and then come back to Tennessee for my junior year or junior and senior year and walk in a polished product that didn't hurt the record. That's what they all should be doing.
Totally agree.
And the 100%. The MTSUs of the world should be embracing that and being like, yes, I'll take your 5-star quarterback for a year. We'll throw that dude all over the yard.
Yep, 100% agree. Jeff said, you think it's a done deal that they expand the playoff after this year to 16 teams? He thinks it's a done deal.
I don't think they'll jump to 16. I think they'll probably, every year they've made incremental changes. I think they'll say next year, okay, we're using the top 12. Like, no more of this silly conference championship stuff. Like, it doesn't make sense not doing it. We'll take the top 12. And then after that, everybody will gripe because number 13 and 14 will end up being somebody good who didn't get in. And then the following year, they'll bump it to 16.
So, Eric, here's the thing. This was Diego's 3rd year in Division I. He's trying to get a fourth. That's what he's trying to do. But you got to understand, if that succeeds, essentially what they're doing is they're giving everybody who goes to JUCO, they're giving them 7 years to play 6 seasons in that situation. 2 in JUCO, 4 Division I, plus a redshirt medical year if you get hurt. So all of a sudden you could have 25-year-old dudes, playing against 18-year-old dudes. I don't know. It's not a good situation in my opinion. Jeff said he turned the Oregon game off at halftime, and he's sure hundreds of thousands of other people did as well.
I'm in that boat.
Green. Matt said JMU and Tulane, embarrassing. Yes, it was.
I mean, it's not like they didn't have a preview of this, say, back in September when Ole Miss beat Tulane 45-10.
Yeah, exactly. That comment from Chad cracked me up. He said, Pavi is a classless dude. He'll be working at Lowe's soon as his NIL money runs out. Josh said we need a committee where the average age isn't 65 years old.
That'd probably help.
Vols Titans 8 said Heupel has to covet the portal talent, the same as recruiting, go after the best portal QB. Jeff said, Ruston, that is a fantastic point. Use 2 to 3 in-state schools as farm teams. Absolutely.
I think you'd have to isolate it down to 1, maybe 2, because you do want them to develop well. And so you kind of need to know who's coaching them. You don't want to spread them around to a bunch of schools and not get great teaching. So, I think that's where you can isolate 1 or 2 schools and be like, okay, all of our defensive guys are going to go to this school because they run our system. We know who's teaching them. They've got a fantastic, defensive line coach. They've got a fantastic corners coach. Everybody's going to go to, used to be back in the day, Furman was the quarterback factory. So, all of our quarterbacks are going to go to Furman because they're going to be developed insanely well there. I think you have to pick and choose and make sure it's places they're going to get coached.
Jonathan said, do you think the NCAA would allow that, would do it, to have mid-majors become essentially a minor league? I think if the coaches at the Power 4 and mid-major work it out, then that's all that needs to happen.
The NCAA doesn't get a say. When Mike Krzyzewski was at Duke, he was doing this back in 2012. So 13 years ago, he was actively doing this at schools.
Seth Curry.
Yeah. Seth Curry's freshman year was at Davidson, not because of his brother, but because
Liberty.
Because Mike Krzyzewski put him there. He called Richie McKay and said, hey, I'm going to give you a shooting guard for 1 year. He's going to light it up for you, but you're only going to have him for 1 year because I can't sign him this year. I've got too many guys. So for 1 year, Liberty got Seth Curry. This is not new. People have been doing this. It's just now it'd have to be a little more streamlined for NIL.
Jeff said, I think the JUCO farm idea is a great idea.
Yeah, it just can't be at a JUCO. Yeah, it just can't be at a JUCO because the junior colleges, God bless them, they can't keep up with, having a farm system at a mid-major. It's just completely different animals. So it's got to be at a group of 5 school.
Jeff said you could spread GAs and analysts to those schools too. Hype could keep his in-house promoting train going for the most part.
And there's some schools like an MTSU, they're looking for new wrinkles in their offense. If Hype said, hey, I've got a GA, I want to send to you all making your offensive analyst, they would do it in a heartbeat to get a little bit of information.
All right. So I got one more thing for the show here. I'm going to read 2 different takes on the college football playoff from this weekend. And I'd like to get your opinion. I'd like to get people's opinions in the comments. Matt said the portal is going to be nuts for sure. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah, and Jeff, you hit the nail on the head too. He said, I think with a new 9-game schedule, we can have multiple 3-loss really good teams. Yeah, 100%. And that's why I for the life of me, I cannot fathom why they went to a 9-game schedule. I cannot fathom it. It makes no sense. All that matters is wins and losses, and we just made it harder on ourselves. I don't get it. John said you could take the players that need maybe 2 years of development. You could send them to an FCS school at first. Timothy said, look at Laney College and EMCC JUCO. They send players to Division I and pros.
I'm not talking about from a development perspective. I'm talking about from a facilities perspective. So, for example, if George McIntyre had come to Tennessee last year and they had said, hey, George, we want you to go play a year at MTSU. You're going to get the same NIL package. He would have looked at that and said, okay, that makes sense. If they had looked at him and said, hey, we want you to go live in the crappy dorms at East Mississippi Community College, he said, no, not happening. So it's not a development thing. It's a facilities thing.
All right. So I'm going to give two opposing opinions from about JMU and Tulane being in the playoff. Here is side one. Robert Griffin III, RG3, tweeted this out or posted this on Facebook and that kind of stuff today. He said the results of the James Madison and Tulane games don't matter. That
just like RG3's NFL career.
That alone should disqualify the rest of the statement. But he said they earned their way into the college football playoff and earned their butt whooping too. So it's okay for a Power 4 team to get beat in the playoffs, but it's not acceptable for a Group of 5 team to get whooped in the playoff because of strength of schedule. I thought everyone was eligible to get whooped. Blowouts in the college football playoff have always been commonplace, no matter what. Power 4, Group of 5, whatever conference you play in. And he gave a list of examples. Alabama lost 44-16 to Clemson. This was years ago. Oklahoma lost 63-28 to LSU. Ohio State lost 31-0 to Clemson. Ohio State lost 52-24 to Bama. And he lives a whole list of them. He said, just add JMU and Tulane to the list and keep it moving. No one said to keep these Power 4 teams out of the playoff forever after their bad loss. So stop trying to punish all Group of 5 teams for it. I will always stand up for all of college football. So that was one take. Reed Carringer had an amazing point on the Twitter today. He said, he said power conference teams also get blown out in the playoff. He's quoting RG3. And he said, true. But a Power 4 team that arguably shouldn't have even been in the playoff went on the road and won at Texas A&M. Let me know when a Group of 5 team does that. Fair point. So, Ruston, and everybody in the comments can let us know too. Some people already have been doing it. Should Group of 6 school? I say Group of 6. I know it's like people say Group of 5 because it used to be Group of 5. Well, now it's Group of 6 because there's only 4 Power 4 conferences. So, should Group of 6 schools be allowed in the college football playoff?
I would also ask RG3, should NFL teams be allowed to pick 2 quarterbacks in the same draft because they're not sure if one's going to pan out? There's no such thing as fairness. There's no such thing as equality. There's no such thing as participation trophies. reality is reality. And just like the fact that the Commanders, Redskins, whatever you want to call them, drafted Kirk Cousins 2 rounds after they drafted RG3 because they weren't sure he would pan out. The NCAA needs to live in reality and say, you know what? These teams don't have the money, they don't have the players, they don't have the facilities. We just need to put the 12 best teams in the playoff and stop being foolish and stop making ourselves look like idiots and hurting our credibility by trying to be fair and putting teams who have absolutely no business being in this thing. And I would bet RG3 has 4 daughters. I would bet when they're a little bit older, they're all younger right now. I bet when they're all a little older and, let's say they're playing soccer and 1 or 2 of them are extremely gifted and 1 doesn't even care at all and 1 isn't any good. I bet he won't be looking at coaches going, hey, can you play all 3 of my girls the same amount because they're all girls and they all should play equally? No. He's going to be encouraging the 2 who are great to, go for the best they can get. He's going to allow the 1 who doesn't care at all to move on and do something else. And the 1 who isn't any good, he's going to say, hey, there's nothing wrong with being a good teammate. Because he understands reality in his heart. The same thing applies here. You can't put lipstick on a pig. James Madison is never, ever, ever going to be able to compete with the top 5 teams in America. Ever.
Yep. I think it almost makes too much sense to have the 12 best teams in the country be in the 12-team playoff. I think that just makes too much sense. And so that's my take on it. Should the number 20th ranked and 24th ranked teams be in a 12-team playoff ahead of numbers 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, 22, and 23? They probably should not.
Ahead of the 2 that they haggled over, with Miami. There were 3 schools they were trying to figure out who was going to get 1 spot. Here's a crazy concept. Give the other 2 spots to the 2 schools that deserve it and not the 2 that lucked their way in the back door.
Absolutely.
How about that?
Of anybody, Baylor's the team, or not Baylor, BYU's the team that got the shaft the most, in my opinion, because they have arguably, no, not even arguably, they had a better resume than at least 3 of the teams that got in the playoff. So they're the ones that really got the shaft, in my opinion. Let's see. Matt said, awesome show, Evan and Ruston. We appreciate you, Matt. Thank you, buddy. Let's see. Balls Titans 8 said, Heupel better hope Joey can come back. Joey's not coming back. Or he gets one of the top 2 or 3 portal quarterbacks. 7-5 isn't acceptable. Timothy said maybe the players would be more appreciative if they got.
He means sent to JUCO.
Okay. Let's see. Jonathan said Ruston looks excited about those differing opinions because I said I was going to give you both sides and then you pick one.
I'm convinced that Robert Griffin III tweets things intentionally that he actually doesn't even believe himself. He just does it to keep a spotlight on himself.
Little Rock Vol said the only thing Ole Miss and Oregon gained by playing those games was risking player injury. Yeah. Eric said, heck yeah, Reed Carringer's smart. He knows his football. John said, I agree with Reed. The group of 6 schools should not be in the playoffs. Ballsteins 8 said, SEC and Big Ten need to break away and collective bargain for football.
It's coming for everybody. It's going to happen within the next 2 or 3 years. Danny White's already hinting at it.
Matt said, let's see what Heupel does in the portal. John said, I agree with that. Ruston RG3 just wants the attention. Yeah, I mean, the 12, it's just common sense. 12 best teams should be in the playoff. End of story. Matt said he missed the Aguilar and coming back. So I'll say that. So we got 489 people watching across all 3 platforms right now. Welcome, first of all. To end our show, I'll recap the confusion about Joey and all that kind of stuff. So here's the deal. Last year, Diego Pavia petitioned, well, it wasn't a petition, he filed a lawsuit against the NCAA to gain an extra year of eligibility. They won. He was given an extra year of eligibility. Because that happened, Joey also got an extra year of eligibility that he used this year at the University of Tennessee. So this year was Joey's Pavia year. Vanderbilt has now filed a lawsuit, another one, against the NCAA, trying to get Pavia another year of eligibility. Joey, the University of Tennessee, joined in on that. So if they win, Joey gets another year. Well, here's the situation. Here's the problem now. Somebody was saying that the deadline for that injunction was supposed to have been December the 19th. That is the day they would have had to have granted the extension or not. That that date came and went, and they did not grant the extension. So theoretically, it's over now. Like Joey will not have, Diego won't have another year. Joey won't have another year. It's done. Now, could they appeal it? Probably. And extend it? Probably. But the problem now is if you're Josh Heupel, you can't wait. Like if they try to appeal it, you can't wait to see what happens, because that appeals process could last months, and the portal opens in 2 weeks. So you don't have a choice at that point. If they want a quarterback out of the portal, they got to go get him the first week of January. That's really the bottom line, because they can't wait around and to see if it gets extended or whatever. It's just not an option really anymore. So that's the situation there. And I think Heupel's comments about Joey in his presser, I think it was last week, I think that was his indication that he knows it's not happening either. And so he was thanking Joey for what he's done at Tennessee this year, the incredible job that he did with such short notice. And he did an incredible job. Jeff said, if we can, my goodness, he led the SEC in passing yards. So he did a phenomenal job. Jeff said, if we can ever get NIL parameters like a collective bargaining agreement and limited amount of transfers, Ruston's farm system idea would work wonders. Great show, man. Hey, we appreciate that. Thank you so much. Dester, welcome, buddy. Here's a channel member. He said, hoping you and all the Volbros family have a wonderful Christmas and go Vols. Absolutely. Merry Christmas to everybody for sure. Little Rock Vols said, need a quarterback? Phillip Rivers could be available soon.
Pretty sure he's out of eligibility.
Yeah, that's the only downfall with Phil. He's out of eligibility. John said, great show as always. Hope everyone has a Merry Christmas. We'll see everyone whenever the next live is. Matt said, I'm not worried. Go Vols, baby. Eric said, good night, Vol Bros. Y'all have a Merry Christmas. We appreciate that. Same to you, buddy. So here's the deal. When will we be live again next? It's going to be a week from tonight. It'll be next Sunday night. Does that night work for you, Ruston? I can't think of anything.
Yep.
Jeff said TCU quarterback should be the guy. I think he's probably the guy they're going to go after. He was first choice last year. So, John said, I think if you have a grandkid, you shouldn't be playing college football. Phillip Rivers. That's pretty good. So, this Thursday night, obviously, is Christmas night. We will not be live on Christmas. So we hope everyone has a very Merry Christmas. We sincerely wish all of you a Merry Christmas. There's 490 people watching across all three platforms right now. Thank you all for tuning in. Reed, thank you to you as well for, I'm assuming you retweeted this. So anytime our numbers get up that high, we know it's because Reed retweeted it. So we appreciate you, Reed, very much. We hope all of you have a very Merry Christmas. True story Christmas. That really is a true story. Hope everybody knows that. If you'd love to talk about that sometime, I would love to. You can email me at thevolbros@gmail.com. I would love to talk about that. So hope everybody has a great week ahead of you. We will be live again 1 week from tonight. That would be, I don't even know that date, the 29th, 28th?
28th.
28th, thank you. So Sunday, December 28th at 9:00 p.m., we will be live right here. Now, I will say this. Last week, we were unable to go live on Thursday night because of some parent things we had to do. We had basketball games and dance recitals and all kinds of stuff happening. So what we did last week was we pre-recorded an episode with Austin Price. We released it on Thursday. It was great. It was awesome. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it because it was really, really, really good. This week, since we won't be live on Thursday, I've got a cart cam with my daughter that I'm going to release. It's a short little one. It's like less than 8 minutes. It'll be fun. So I'm going to release that probably tomorrow or Tuesday, something like that. But we appreciate everybody joining us. So we had a few more comments. I'll read through those real quick. Mississippi Vols, Merry Christmas, guys. Go Vols, baby. Absolutely. Yeah, we appreciate you, Eric. Thank you, man. Stingray said, great show. Merry Christmas all. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. John said, you mean I have to wait another full week? Dang it. Appreciate you, man. Rebel Jew said, yes, Merry Christmas, y'all. Big plus of being a Messianic Jew. I get to do both Hanukkah for my culture and Christmas. There you go. To celebrate Yeshua's birth. Absolutely. Absolutely. Matt said, Merry Christmas, fanatics. We appreciate you, Matt. Jeff said, first time listening, really enjoyed the show. We appreciate that very much. You're welcome anytime. We're normally live every Thursday and Sunday at 9:00 p.m. Eastern. It's Christmas, so we won't be live this Thursday, but normally Thursday and Sundays, 9 p.m. So we hope you come back and visit with us again. Little Rock Vol said, all I want for Christmas is 5-star players to Tennessee. He said, Merry Christmas, Vol fam. Bless you and Evan. Bless you, Evan and Ruston in 2026. Thank you, buddy. We appreciate that. Blessings to you as well. Absolutely. Billy said, Merry Christmas, everybody. We hope everybody has a great evening. Hope everybody has a Merry Christmas. Go Vols, baby. We will see you all very, very soon.